go, man. You're
Okay.
rocking and rolling.
Speak loud.
All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I guess I'm going to rig this model today. The first thing I'm going to look at is what we're setting it up for, like how many spine joints we need and how many arm joints we need. Depending on how complex this thing is supposed to move will depend how many bones we have, but we'll just start with a basic, I guess 3 spine and regular setup for the arms. So first, I guess start by placing the pelvis bone. I'm going to go into front view so that I just work on 2 axes instead of 3. That way I don't get messed up. So my experience with rigging is usually from moving things around and making them useful in Source Filmmaker or Source. And the big thing about Source is that it's a big modding community. So I've seen a lot of different types of skeletons, and basically they all have their center of mass at the pelvis. And I'm going to estimate it's about right there. So from that, you Control D to duplicate it and move it up. And I put it about here. This will be your spine 1 joint. And I should have done this earlier, but get into the habit to name your bones as you create them. So I'll give you all a second to get those 2 in place.
Yeah, guys, if you're lost, ask somebody who sits next to you, or if you don't sit next to anybody, I'm here to help you guys.
Yeah, just name the root pelvis.
What did you call your first one?
Pelvis.
Pelvis?
Yeah, pelvis.
How do you snap to grid again?
Hmm?
How do you snap to grid again?
Right here.
Actually, Kasey, I'm going to make you responsible for everybody.
Oh boy. Well, you get a free day then.
Pretty much. So if anybody has a problem, you got to get up and you got to get one.
Okay.
You guys are a group. It's a team project.
Or you can just Control D. Oh, okay. Are we parenting? Second one.
Yeah, go ahead and name it spine. All right, everyone ready to continue? Y'all good?
I'm good.
All right. I'll do some preemptive cleanup before we continue. Select the mesh, and over here, this is the layers panel. Click the button at the far right that says create new layer with and assign selected objects. What you've done is you've put this on a render layer so that you can turn the mesh on and off, but for now, while we're placing bones, set it to, let's see, first one is template, second one is reference. or no, okay, set it to template. Template will gray it out, as you can see, and you can't select it, so there's no way you can move it while you're placing bones.
And how do we enter this mode again?
It is the far right here. This is the layers panel.
Okay.
So select the mesh first. Select Thor, then click the button on the far right, the one with the little blue ball on it.
Oh, I see.
I named my mesh just so I don't get confused.
And if you want to name this layer, right click it, click on the layer 1 and rename it. I'll name it mesh, you can name it model. Just something that'll let anyone who uses this file know what that is and what's inside. Everyone good?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Create the next spine bone. I'm probably going to put it here about the center of the chest. This is going to be the root of your collar and the arm. So it might rest a little bit higher than, say, your sternum. And since Maya is cool, it auto-names it spine tube. Alright. Okay. And I'll go ahead and put the neck in place. Now, from my experience, the neck bone is kind of strange in that it almost rotates from your back. So for right now, I'll go to the side view and put it somewhere about here. And make sure it's still zeroed on the z-axis for right now. Because right now we're just getting the height in place. We'll get, I guess, the depth after we get the other ones in place.
Good. You? Great.
What is it to increase the joint size?
Display animation.
Okay.
Joint
Where is it?
size. Display animation.
Okay.
Joint size.
If you can't see your joints, display animation, joint size.
I was wondering where it said.
Instead of making that gray, is that mesh that you have in a layer there?
Let's see if this does anything.
So, well, here, don't do that. Go to, change that from gray to mesh. And then go to shading,
Where is that?
down, left, up.
Okay.
And change that to X-ray joints.
Oh, that'll work. Oh, okay.
That way you can see the mesh.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Alright, I guess if seeing Thor in wireframe is too jarring, go to shading, X-ray joints.
You gotta turn the R of their layer.
Oh, of course. And make your layer reference. There are 3 modes to this. There's normal mode, where you can select the mesh. Template, where you can't select it and it's wireframe. And reference, where it's fully lit, rendered, you just can't select it. Oh yeah, and take this opportunity to rename the neck bone to neck. Everybody good? Okay. Okay. They all kind of.
My neck's not placing.
You changed the layout. Or we'll go to, okay, go to now. Change that to orthographic is right up in front. Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Let's make the arm joints. So there, let's see. There are 4 joints to the arm: a collar, upper arm, lower arm, hand, and then fingers later. But right now we'll just make the main parts of the arm. So from my experience, the collar is somewhere in here. It's halfway between the neck and the upper spine. So I'd probably put it about here. And then since Thor is jacked, you can pretty much tell where his upper arm is going to be. Oh, and for this one, this is important. Click the joint tool first, place the collar, and then place the upper arm. Try to get as close as you can to the center of his mass. And then the elbow, of course you can see where that is. And then the base of the hand. I'd probably put that just beyond his, whatever that is. His old, yeah. And my God, these are huge. Yeah. Oops. Okay. And go ahead and name these while you're at it. Okay, as Thor is facing you, we're working on the left side, so it's collar, upper arm, or collar left, upper arm left, elbow left, and hand left. right, everyone got those bones in?
For some reason, my neck joint didn't snap to the clav.
Did what?
When I came across, I thought it snapped to the clav, but it didn't.
Well, I mean, none of those are parented yet.
No, there isn't a link.
Oh, well, yeah, I haven't set the link yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna
okay,
move
we're
those
supposed to do
bones,
that.
so it's not, don't leave them yet.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I'm
cool.
carrying over your spine. Yeah, I think that one works on that bone. Everyone else? Okay.
I'm taking a look at my picture.
I'm parent. Okay. I'm going to show his two ways to parent, but you select this, press Shift key. And you can do that for all of them because we're not done putting them in place yet.
So, how many years did this thing have?
Oh yeah, I haven't done it yet. Okay.
These children?
Yeah. You check the one that has been there. So like for that one, you select the hand. Shift key. Okay.
So we got for Kasey. So we got gave him wrist right there.
No, just one joint for from wrist to hand.
So
So just you.
okay. So just like wrist.
Or hand. Left hand. Hand, whatever.
Or not.
No, I'll explain why I'm not putting one there when I get to the rigging part. All right, everyone good? Okay.
Let's jack him up.
Yeah, he's jacked up.
You already checked.
All right. So I have these bones here for the left arm already parented, but I need to undo that. So there's two ways of parenting and unparenting that I know of in Maya. The first one is to select the child, and child-parent relationships are like this. This is the parent, and it's the elbow, and the hand joint is the child. So basically, the parent, when rotated or moved or anything, will bring its child with it, but the child can move on its own. It's just on a leash, basically. And there's two ways to set up this kind of relationship. The first one is through keyboard commands. These are already parented, so the way to unparent stuff is select the child and press Shift P. And then the way to parent something is to select the child again, select what you want it to be parented to, and press P. So again, to unparent things via keyboard, Shift P, and to parent, just select the child first, then the parent, and press P. Now the second way I know to do that is through the outliner. I think that's what it is. Yeah. No, it's the hypergraph. This is a visual representation of how things are set up. And it works the same way. You just select what you have there, Shift P to unparent, and then I think you just click and drag. No? Ah. It will be middle click to drag to parent. So Shift P to unparent and middle click to parent.
I wonder if you can middle click and drag off to unparent.
Well, let's find out. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right. So unparent the arm joints. So all your bones and everything should look like this. This is the mesh, and these are all bones. Now, the reason I had you make a joint chain first is so that we could get the transforms. Let's see, where is it? Oh. Now you see right now this is set to local. And this is what we'll need to make sure that when the animator uses it, that they can rotate it along basically which way the bone is supposed to point. I didn't do that for the spine and everything because it just for personal preference. I usually like to animate with the spine joints being in the world axis. Alright, so now that that's done, we are going to set these bones in place in Z. Right now we've set them in X and Y, which is their width on him and the height off the ground. So now we'll set how far back into the model it goes. So we need to go to the side view. And if you can't see the bones, go to Shading, X-ray joints. So this is where that hypergraph can come into play, because these are all basically at the same depth on the Z-axis. Z is front and back on him. So go to Window, Hypergraph Hierarchy. And if you're fancy, you can change the layout to where you can see it over here, but I'm not that fancy.
I think you're fancy, Kasey.
Well, thank you. But what we're going to do is we're going to move all the bones into place in the Z-axis. So pelvis should be pretty center to the mass of his pelvis. So for this, I'd move it forward just a little bit. Now think that the pelvis is going to be the center of all rotation when the animator gets a hold of it. So that needs to be as central as possible. Now when I speak and say central, I mean to the mass of the area that it's going to affect. Because these bones have a range that they can affect, you have to think that maybe there's a sphere of influence when you're putting these bones into place. So that brings me to an interesting topic on spines. Now, I've taken apart a lot of game skeletons and models, and I've also played with a lot of film models. And if you're going to do more film type rigging, they tend to put the bones sort of towards the back, you know, so it's more realistic. Like if I were to stand up and bend over, you know, I'm bending from the back of my trunk. But in games, they don't, I guess they don't care as much, or they have a reason for, but they put it more towards the center. So I would have to rotate from here, which I can't do because I'm not built like that. So if you're going for a film style rig or more realistic, you would put the spine joints towards the back. And if you want more cartoony game, you put it more towards the middle. Now that is totally up to you. I'm going to go for film. And I'll let you all do that. But remember, the farther back you go into the spine, the more exaggerated the twist will be when the animator gets a hold of it. So if you put the spine 1 joint out here, you know, if the animator turns it like 1 degree, it's going to tear his spine in half. So I guess use it like garlic. A little bit goes a long way. I'm going to run around. Is that concept clear? Like, are y'all getting the idea I'm throwing out?
Guys, is he going too slow, too fast? How's his pace?
good?
Could he speed up, go faster?
Okay, I'll continue.
You guys, could he go faster for you guys, or is it just? It's perfect. Okay.
We're not moving the neck all week.
No, not yet. Haven't got that far. All right. You got in, Lily. Where is the file?
It should be on eCampus.
Yeah, we're not. We're basically just reading those. Press this is the bullet points, and you make 3 spine joints. Start from the top.
Don't do Lloyd's kids.
Some people want to like Thor.
Sometimes it's not healthy to be that slow. Depends how you get there. You do it the legitimate way, like Dave Chappelle, then sure.
Want to look at the superstar fire.
Looks like a freaking what's his name? Can't think of his name.
Tell me where you like.
Like he looks like a swole version of Edge.
Go over to the far right.
A swole version of who?
Playing
You know from
that.
WWE?
Next one.
Or have you ever watched
What's his name?
Edge?
Edge.
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 Click on
Yeah.
click next to these.
Oh, Edge.
Yeah.
Pull it. You got a picture? Google it.
Yeah, Google right now, but we don't have anything to do.
Go back to the main viewport.
Edge.
Edge.
Click spine.
A swole version of Edge.
Alright. Now go to shady. X-ray test. What I just did, finish up my show.
You tried it?
Mm-hmm. That's Edge.
Is he older? Like an older WWE?
He was wrestling when I was in
Diapers?
no, not diapers.
Maybe elementary school.
Elementary, middle school. He was still wrestling. Then towards the end of my high school years, he had to retire because of neck injuries.
There was someone else I was thinking about though. He's also a WWE.
He probably was a Christian.
You can go to X-ray or X-ray joints.
I think Edge and Christian.
You know what? Absolutely. So select everything.
Trevor.
Just click on it.
Stone Cold.
No, definitely not Stone Cold. I know who Stone Cold and The Rock look like. Huh? Nah, like Edge is close, but
Goldberg.
of course not Goldberg.
I'm just naming out superstars.
Yeah, like, well, in body mass, yeah, but like all three of the people you just mentioned are like majorly bald.
So now,
I can't think of any.
I'm trying to think.
Long hair super.
There's someone with
Because all of them
there's someone with blonde hair.
Chris Jericho.
It might be Chris Jericho. I don't think it's Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho has blonde hair. He's the only other person that has blonde hair. You can see him, all people look the same.
It's someone I heard he can't wrestle anymore. I don't think it was Edge. Was it?
You can't. No, yeah, Edge can't wrestle.
all right.
He has a nickname.
Everyone caught up?
Yeah, then that's what I was talking about. But yeah, that's Swole Viking.
Y'all got it? Okay. All right, so next we'll put the arm joints in place. For this, I'd suggest you go to top view. And again, if you can't see the bones, shading, x-ray joints.
I'm hoping that they can fix it like microphone.
So we'll start with the collar. Again, gaming will be right in the center of the mass, more film realistic towards the back. I'm going to go for gaming. So since he's so jacked, you can kind of see where the bones are. So I pointed it so that the x-axis kind of points to the center of the shoulders or the upper arm. And do the same for the rest of the joints. Now I will say about the elbow, you should push it a little bit to the back more, because I've seen, regardless of whether it's film or game, the elbow will deform more of the front part of the arm instead of the back. So it needs to influence it more.
Where do you have the cloud?
Clavicle? It's like right here.
That's right.
Because you have to think, when you skin these bones, this is where it's going to rotate from. So the more carefully this is planned, the better the rigging will be, and the less we'll have to fix. In fact, I think I got the elbow wrong. This is a little bit too far up. I would probably put it about here, because that's his elbow.
Even his elbow is jacked. What the hell is he?
Oh, he's Thor.
And at least not doing home.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you know, with this model, everything's clearly defined, so we're going to have a fun time with fixing this stuff. All right. So if you have everything in place, let me go ahead. I moved it a little bit. Try to get it into the center of this mass right here, past his little cuff right here. In fact, I got that a little wrong. There we go.
Pretty much. Yeah, mine's like.
Well, I haven't moved it yet, so. Okay. So finally, we'll move the neck, since I seem to have forgot it. Okay. Now, when I lean forward with my neck, it seems that I'm doing it more so from the back of my head. Well, mainly because, you know, that's where the bone is. So I would naturally put it somewhere about here. Now, because Thor's so... he's got hair everywhere, I'd kind of lean it towards the center so that we get, you know, a good cover for that hair. And here's a whole nother problem in rigging. But for this, I would suggest it's going right here, because of the way that his shoulder is shaped. It looks like his body curves right here. And if you lean forward, you usually bend along that curve. So I'd put it there. Alright, I'll let everyone catch up.
Once again, how do you enlarge the size of the joints?
It is display, animation, joint size.
Hey, Kasey.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the joints. 10 feet. What you think about?
Oh, they're small.
Well, yeah, I tried resizing those by themselves, but it resized everything when I do, so I wasn't sure on how to just resize separately.
Okay.
Do you know how?
I think you just select it.
I tried doing it.
They
Like,
didn't do anything?
like when I tried selecting, I went to display animation, joint size, and
It's doing them all?
yeah.
Hmm.
What was that again? Now, which ones are you trying to do?
A small one.
These. Everything except the arm.
Just shift the select from
Got it.
Shift select?
Yes. So you got that with me? That's not power.
Just to, I did when I was my the first time.
Hmm?
Yeah.
I didn't go through yeah, so.
I mean, I went through all of it, and then you saw how it
No, I did.
fairly great.
It changed it.
Yeah, you had
Like, it was good.
Alright, select them all.
But this is
and try
this
to
is
do
the
that.
different approach.
If you have that on.
four ways of doing it.
Okay, first thing, yeah, make that. And one more. Alright, now if you,
Oh, like it?
yeah, reference. R is reference. Okay, you won't be able to select. Okay, now try and
I've
do
been
that.
talking to Noah about
Set them all to one. Alright, now you can resize.
It looks like it's going to do
Huh.
the same.
Huh. I don't know the answer to that.
I know who might.
He laughed, of course.
No, you're the teacher now, so.
I teach, well, about to do the worst thing ever. Just live with it.
Just live
Yeah, just live with it.
Okay, that's the best advice I've heard all day. I will do so.
Why did you ask in the first place?
Yeah.
Because I thought I was going to get even better
Get an
advice.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get
Well, your answer got led with the question that led you back to I don't care.
I mean, I don't care either. The question is, how much does Chris care?
Okay.
But yeah, if you're okay with it, I'm okay
I'm-
with it.
Okay. Parent the elbow to the upper arm.
This one?
Yeah. Like that. Alright, now rotate the upper arm a little bit. And Z. Try to get it towards like right here, where you would get an IV. Yeah, yeah, right there. Alright, now unparent the elbows. Now the reason I'm having you parent it first is so that it keeps its
The
rotation.
rotation, yeah.
Yeah. That's important for the arms and somewhat to the neck.
I'm gonna make sure everything
Okay, that's fine. Alright, everyone caught up?
I believe so.
Okay. Alright, we'll add one more joint for the head. So the quick way to do this without creating a chain is Control D on a joint. Now it will rename it to whatever it was, +1. Like I selected the neck, so it called it neck 1. Rename that to head. And for Thor, he's got a pretty good guide right on the side of his head. Where the ear would be is where I would put the bone for the head. At least in Y and Z space.
You saying he's got a good head on his shoulders?
I guess.
He's got the flash
Price.
style, like,
just the door is like right here. Just please go. Get out.
Okay. So once everyone has that in place, it's time to parent stuff. All right. So I guess if you're ready, parent the arm using one of the two ways that I described. If you want me to go over it again, I will. So for the arm, or the first way you do it is select the child, select the one that's going to move it, or the parent, and press P. The other way to do it is to end the hypergraph. Go to Window, Hypergraph Hierarchy.
Are you gonna do fingers later?
Yeah, I'll do that. Then elbow to upper arm, and this I'm just middle clicking the child and pulling it onto the parent. And then upper arm will go to the collar, and then the collar will go to the end of your spine chain. For me, it's called spine 2.
It doesn't go to neck?
No, because when you turn your neck, you don't turn your shoulder with it.
Cool. So spine 2.
Yeah, spine 2 is the rotation for your arms in the upper body. And also parent head to the neck and neck to spine 2. Clav goes to spine 2 if you have it called that. And then spine 2 goes to spine 1, and spine 1 goes to pelvis. So in the end, you should have a setup similar to this.
Can you show your hierarchy again?
Oh yes, okay, okay. Okay.
Followed you up to this point then?
The layout's right there. So head goes to neck. And then spine 2 to spine 1.
So it's that.
You've got the head floating out by itself. From what I'm seeing.
That?
Well, you have the outliner out, so whenever you, oh, you're left-handed.
Yeah, I'm left-handed.
Oh.
Very left-handed, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, outliner is set up like this. Anything that's parented shows up below it. So actually, you have the pelvis parented to spine 1. And, yeah, okay, this is top level, which means it's the parent level. So basically, you reverse it. Everything's parented to the head. Like if you were to press E, or press E. If you were to rotate, you get everything rotating.
That's weird. Okay, that's interesting.
You see, this is why I like the hypergraph
So
over that.
should I remove this? How do I turn that off? Right here.
You can actually change that to the hypergraph in panels. Hypergraph. And then you can adjust it from here.
So I need to
Alt and right click. Alt right click moves around that. Press the left click. Oh, alt right click moves you around so you can frame it. Doesn't it? You're holding it. Okay, that zooms. Oh, it's middle. Okay, alt middle mouse. Okay.
So I need to remove.
You need to unparent it.
Okay.
So once again, parenting in the hypergraph is done by either keyboard or middle mouse. Keyboard to unparent is Shift P. Keyboard to parent is P. Middle mouse, which is easier in this, is just middle click. Middle click works both ways. Anyway, let me know when everyone has their hierarchy set. Here, I'll All right, everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we'll set the finger bones in place. That'll be fun. All right. So, like in the last tutorial, the thumb actually has 3 bones, and all of these have 3 bones. Now I'm just going to click in place as best I can, and I'm not going to do it in this view. That's way too far off. Okay. So I'm going to click in place as best I can. This is front view. So when you rotate your thumb, the base of your thumb is actually part way up your hand, at least in me it is. So I'd place it somewhere close to the hand bone. And then on Thor, he's got pretty skinny thumbs, so you can probably see where the next rotation point would be, which would be about right here.
I have a problem.
Okay.
When I place my joints on my
What do you mean?
So you guys got head parent to the neck, neck parent to the spine. Okay.
All right. So once again, thumb will have 3 joints. One halfway up your hand, one right here, right where you would expect it to be, and one right here towards the end that will control the last part and the thumbnail. That looks a little wonky, but I'll fix it here in a minute. Okay, so the joint tool will create a chain of joints until you press escape or enter. I think it's in. Yeah, it's enter. Okay. So once you're done with the thumb, press enter, because escape, I think, will delete them all. And then do it again for the index finger. Now this one doesn't move as much, and because he's got, looks like hard leather, you can put it right here where the leather ends and the finger begins. And then, just like the elbow, at least I've seen, is you might want to put it a little offset. So about here, and then here. Oh, I forgot something. Okay, when you click the joint tool, or no, you can't do that, never mind. Just be sure and name your joints as you go along. So the layout I'm going to go for is thumb 1, left, thumb 2 left, and thumb 3 left. Then I'll do the same for index. Index 1 left, 2, 3. So now I'm going to let you loose and do this hand. Now as you see, it's going to be pretty much even because we did it in front view. So make sure that before you get done to put it in place in the Z-axis. My suggestion is to keep the rotations as they are. Just move it in Z and rotate it. Now I have my tool set to local. The way to set it to local is up here, and this will hold, or hide or show the tool settings. So everyone, get your hand rigged. I'll write on the board, I guess, a sample of how I would make things. Can y'all see the board at all? And how dark it is? Oh, alright. Okay. I'll do it on the computer. Okay. Alright, this is an example of how to name these joints so that it's easier on you in the end. Okay, so from what I've written out, it's basically the finger that you're using, the bone number of that finger, and what hand it's on. So from what I've seen I've seen a lot of models. It could be simply well, like that. Let's see. It would be thumb 1 left, and on your most favorite Valve game, Team Fortress 2, it's really complicated. It's let's see. That's how Valve does Team Fortress 2. And if you want to get even more complicated, you would use the half-life tube. But from what I've seen across industry, they name the finger first, the bone number, then the hand it's on. So just keep that in mind as you're naming your joint chains. And do you want me to leave this up, or do you care? Any takers?
Cameron always cares. I want to do everything right.
Well, as long as it gets done.
Oh, it always gets done.
Okay.
Hey Casey,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't it have been a good idea when making the joints for the fingers to make one for the tip of the finger, then delete it so it can have the rotation go towards where that finger is? Because like we stopped here, but that doesn't mean the rotation is really towards where the finger is pointing.
No, I mean, that's the way Chris showed it, but didn't you end up deleting those anyway?
Yeah, but he did it so he could get the rotation or where it would be pointing. So whenever we move the thumb or the fingers, they would move the way they should.
Well, didn't you change it with the orientation tool? And Chris, I'm talking to you. Chris?
This is in a different world.
What's up?
Yeah. He talked about end fingers, or end bones for the finger. I'm not teaching that they're necessary. Do you think they are?
Well, I was saying I seen when Chris did it because he made it temporarily so he can get the rotation for it, then he deleted it.
But the thing is, you did the orient stuff, so does that make that irrelevant? Okay, so for this, we're going to mess with it anyway, so.
Yeah, I just think it's
Alright, press E and see what the rotation looks like. Yeah, that is not what you need for that thumb, but we're going to fix the orientation later.
I was just checking up on it.
Alright. No, I created a chain. Okay, here. I clicked the joint tool, started it, about there, clicked again, and then clicked again. And then when I was done, I pressed enter. And then I went back and named everything. So again, for placing these bones, I would suggest, instead of dragging, rotating. That way you will keep the orientation to the parent that we will need for these. This is probably the only time I would suggest you use the 3D view, is putting these finger bones in place, because with small groups of the mesh, it's just kind of hard to get it right, especially if they're overlapping for things like the hand.
I was just trying to see how you so your parent will want your individual finger and then your parent this way.
Yeah, that's what Lao Shi is saying. At least I hope I'm doing it right.
Let's see.
Okay. So does this look right? The hands?
Let me just get this in place.
I know you're awesome.
Okay.
You gotta eat your time like a black hole.
Well, I'm giving you a chance to roll around. Zoom in on your index. Yeah, on the whole thing. Okay. Alright, zoom out a little bit. Let's orbit around that. Trying to CSI this shit. I would pull the index
What's up?
1 or 2
How are you doing your finger?
down a little bit, down now.
My fingers ended up in his body, so I had to move him to the fingers.
Yeah, that was what was happening.
So I moved to my fingers and try to get as accurate as I could. To
Yeah.
the,
Like this, real quick.
I looked at the top one
Yeah.
and try to get that to that knuckle, and then just
Go
start moving
to-
back into place.
Put that on top. Up, up top. Down. In the move settings, select object.
Oh, cheers. I'm so sorry.
Okay, never mind, not that. Local. Well, okay, go back to local. Okay. Click this to hide it. Those are the tool settings. Now, you see here, press 6. You can kind of see where they did the shading on the texture. Kind of where you want to put that bone, because that's naturally where it would bend. Can you kind of see where?
Yeah.
Also, if you're unsure of where to put it, go into wireframe or overlay the wireframe on the bones, on the mesh, so that you can see where the vertices are and kind of gauge how that's going to bend when we actually rig it.
So, because this line here is where you're gonna have to accentuate.
Well, now the thing about placing in the 3D view is that you need to look at it from all points. Like you see now that you've changed the view, that's off to the left a little bit. That one's good.
How's that on the rest?
Alright, let's give her a tumble. This one, the table is a little flat.
Yep.
Now, do not move. Select the parent plane and rotate it just a little bit. And wide. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I'm on the right one, right?
Wait, undo that. Sorry.
Rotate it out?
Yeah, a little bit. There you go. Okay. Alright. Now rotate this one in the opposite direction. Because for fingers, they really do move at the center of the mass,
Yeah.
because that's where the bone is. So try to get it in the center of the mass. Like that one you can move. Move it down.
You wanna with that shade.
Yeah, with this shaded point right here. Where all these shaded points. How's everyone else doing?
Oh, I
Yeah,
should
man.
take questions. That's what's on the list of stuff. Okay, so I think one is everything. Okay, so I think in the midst of everything we did, this spine stuff, those got good stuff. It's fine. It's all right.
All right, go to the window. Hierarchy. It seems to be all right to me. Oh, alt middle click. Yeah. That looks fine. Set up fine.
Well, it's just that when I select this,
That's because it, it's going down the chain. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay.
And then start
All right, go to 3D view, and let's look at where those fingers are placed. So focus in on the thumb. Or select the root of the thumb, and press F. Let's see. If you select the parts going off of the bone, it will select the parent. All right, now tumble around that. Alt and right click. All right, that needs a little bit of adjustment because as you can see, it's a little bit off to the left of his thumb. So I would move thumb 2 up and over a little bit.
This one,
Yeah,
that way.
a little bit, yeah. And always tumble it around to check. Okay, now you move it too far, so just move it down. Okay, that looks okay. And now do that with the emblem. Try to get it into the center of that mass. It's like right here. Like you can really see it on Thor because he's, jacked hands, jacked everything. So I'd move it to down a little bit. Right. Then turn it around so that we see his fingernail. Okay, that was good. And do the same with the other fingers because they're not in place. Like the index.
So more so in the center of the.
Right, because whenever you place bones, that is where that part of the body is going to rotate from. So the thing is to get it into the center of the mass you want it to move. So like for where you have the index, it's actually like right here. When it should be like right here.
So move this more so.
Now move up one. Index 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here.
Yeah, and if you're working in 3D view, constantly tumble around it and see if it's in the center of the mass that you want it to move. Okay, you get the concept again? How you do that? Go to side view. Oh, you have two scripts. Okay. So let's go to that one. This one, yeah. Go to panel. Orthographic. That side. Looks fine. Okay. Yeah, looks fine. Everyone else good?
Can you check that?
Okay.
Because that shit's on mine. I'm sorry, my God.
Alright, did you hear me all of those there? Okay, well, bone placement is where pretty much you put it in the center of the mass you want to move. So like I can tell your fingers is off.
Oh, you got one for 2 years.
Right. So
actual angles of where the things are compared to the presence ones.
Yeah, we could short that one down a
layout
little bit.
is more like the words in this area. Yeah. You'll at a certain point it will start like Europe would be allowed to pick Europe.
Like,
Yeah, oh god. Did you see the final rule?
I know that it's on there, the attack cycle's on there. It has your ball jump,
That counts, okay.
attack cycle.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's gonna show that.
The attack cycle is
Yeah, cause I mean, that was just like, intro.
like super OCD with that.
Is this in the text?
That's
Oh wow.
Okay.
But if you think about it, that's like
Okay.
one hard day at the office.
Yeah. Well, we're doing our, I've got.
Getting the whip.
Yeah, get the whip, but I'm gonna do something. Yeah, I haven't actually. I haven't set it.
Because you've got the overturn, and then you've got the rotation, and then you've got the underturn.
I actually haven't done that, but I'll show you.
It's just weird that it's like big.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everyone else good?
Yeah.
All right. So next step is to parent the fingers to the hand. And just do that in one of the two ways that I've shown. Now if you select more than one in the view, it will still work the same way in the hypergraph. So middle click, drag, and they will all jump over. Oh, I forgot these two.
You get that to the hand.
Yes, to the hand.
So yeah, attach it at the wrist joint.
Wrist or hand, whatever you called it.
Sweet.
All right. Now we should have one half of Thor ready to go, at least bone-wise. So next step is to mirror the joints. If I remember right, it's in the animation menu. Skeleton. Okay, I forgot. Chris, how do I do this? Mirror the joints. It's not weighted yet.
Yeah, you wanna make sure that it's parented to a joint that's on the center of the grid.
Did you organize
So your shoulder.
So,
Is that your shoulder?
let's call her.
The collar needs to be parented to a joint in the center of the grid. So you need
Well,
like
okay.
the upper spine joint. Yeah, parent that in.
So if I do that, will I get another spine joint, another neck
No.
joint, another head joint?
No, so parent that in.
Okay.
So is it parented or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so select now select the collar. And go to skeletons. Option box for mirror joints. And you want to change that to whatever it is, L. You have,
Let's see.
you did collar L, so you want to change L, and then the one below it to R.
Ah, okay.
And you may have to change it to YZ.
Okay.
And then keep that open and hit apply.
You should be able to do
All right. Okay, thank you.
Everybody keeping up?
Oh, yeah.
And that,
All right, so this is the reason I had you name things earlier, because the way we get the right arm is we're just going to search for a capital L and replace it with an arm. Now, say what? Oh, skeleton, mirror joint. Now, if you don't see the skeleton menu, go here and select animation. Go to this drop-down menu. Now, if that's done right, we should have a right arm with correct oriented bones, and from the looks of it, it worked.
Did you do the orient option?
Yes, I did. I went.
Okay.
So select the collar, your left collar, go to skeleton, mirror joint option box, YZ for the axis, behavior, replace L with R. You select collar. Right. Right up here.
Oh, okay.
You set that first, and then skeletons over here.
And then we go to mirror joint. Where is it?
Yep, skeleton mirror joint
Okay, mirror joint option.
option box. And then
Search for L and replace with R.
right. And if you kept it capital L, it'll make it easier on the renaming tool.
And how does your hierarchy look?
Well, everything is okay. Everything is going to be, or all the arms and stuff are going to be off the spine 2.
Which one is? Sweet.
Spine 2 controls everything.
And neck,
Head and neck are just to spine 2.
They're on spine too. Okay, mine looks just like yours. Sweet. Okay. I want to get used to using the hierarchy as much as possible.
This is a lifesaver when it comes to building rigs. This and the connections editor.
It gave me some sort of error.
Well, let's see if we can fix it.
What did it say?
Too many arguments.
For what?
Mirror joint option.
Oh, just select the clavicle.
Oh, just the cloud.
Yeah, just the clavicle.
Don't worry about that.
Right. Just like the cloud. Do I keep it
YZ.
as behavior
Yeah.
or do I
Right, and
YZ?
now click apply.
Behavior.
Now you should have a left, I mean a right side.
Just find out. If I can maneuver this.
And it looks like you do.
All right, is everyone caught up?
So, doing this, search for L, replace with R.
Oh, you have to select bones. Don't exit this menu.
Okay, so select all these.
No, you select the root joint that's going to be mirrored. So deselect everything, press F. Tumble around to make it in front. Now select the collar. You're going to select that's this one. Collar. You're going to select the bone that will be, or the base bone of all the ones that you want to mirror. And that's it. So now pull that back up.
It feels fine.
Press.
My hierarchy matches.
And there you go.
Yeah, I need to get used to this.
I've been trying. This is
Yeah, sounds right to me.
sweet.
Alright, so if everyone's got that, we can move on. Everyone good?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's take a break. Everyone save.
Oh yeah. So even if
And Chris, how do I stop this recording?
You don't.
I don't?
There's no. I don't think there's a way to pause OBS.
Oh.
You can look.
Huh?
But check in the go to settings and check in hotkeys. There may be a way to set a hotkey to pause. But,
Let's see.
I'm feeling good about it.
Okay, I guess. Well, I guess it's just gonna record our break.
yeah, that's okay.
Alright.
Yeah.
I got it.
I'm going to the field trip to the coffee shop. Get out a couple of shots of espresso. Might be good.
I want to look at something.
It's going well. It's flipping more espresso.
Speaking of coffee,
I live off of coffee.
speaking of coffee, I'm finna go get jacked on caffeine.
Yeah, well, I need to go to the PS4.
Yes.
Why would you go that extreme?
What happened? Well, you did what now? Let's see what you. Oh damn. Oh my.
I have a vendetta against you. Broke my
What?
I was like, I just looked at this and went, "Can you still shoot this?" And then I realized it's a speaker. Like, I like how from like the angle that you actually made, I was like, look,
Professor? Who? Me? There he is. What's up, man? Staying out of trouble? Yeah, right.
When does this class end? Like 2:15?
Yes.
Batman Bounce.
No, Tim Burton was
That one was weird. That one actually had a story. That one I didn't know was going on. The other one with Tim Burton actually had a story.
Well, I mean, you know. Jim Carrey was dressed up better than Lady Gaga.
I mean, that was at the point in time where Jim Carrey didn't give a crap when he was dressing that. He wanted to keep making money. Because you know he's also in the mask at the time.
Oh yeah, everybody loved that. The 90s was weird for superhero movies.
Why you think Marvel never made a 90s movie?
More like a big scale.
Why you think they waited till 2000?
Yeah, I mean, if it's really good,
They started out that Spider-Man, but
yeah.
as the time went on, they slowly it's just that people, Sony
It's called.
has control of Spider-Man. Marvel has nothing to do with Spider-Man when it comes to movies. It's when they talk about one tell you Spider-Man is the next Avengers movie, they have to talk to Sony first. And Sony sees Spider-Man movie doesn't
So you're a worried.
Yeah, I'm a worried dude.
That's the
So
one
you were
description
recommend
with Sony.
one for me.
I think Fox.
I've never done
It is
that.
Fox.
Alien Isolation is amazing.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend Alien Isolation. Number one, because the graphics are fantastic. If you want something like old school, and if you've never played Resident Evil 4,
He's Marvel. Yeah, he's Fox. Fox is actually one of the
4 is fantastic. I'm a fan of 5 and a lot of people aren't.
I like 5. How's the one they go down?
Yeah, they go to Africa. There's a lot of stuff. Alan Wake is a cool one.
They made
Like Dead Risings are fun, but that's like an open world, like GTA style one. If you want something that's Amnesia, Dark Descent is like
everything has a
No one you gotta try out for this gen
Marvel Studios.
is
Dark Descent.
Amnesia.
Dying Light.
Dying Light is
Probably one of the best sports well, if you want to call it
Agreed with that.
zombie game, whatever that output.
Yeah, I do have.
Dead Space is fun.
Dead Space is great.
3 isn't as
Yeah, I think
good.
James-
Number 1 is my favorite. 2 is good. 3
You know,
is
Mark Batman, you don't want to feel the dead. What more do you want?
Another cool game is Alice Madness Returns.
What?
It's not really horror, but it has.
Oh, I thought you looked at me like you were going to say something. Like I'm finished.
I mean, it's other perfect role. That's always done.
The game is super fun.
He was in a, what was the game?
Sort of like.
Oh, the one who's the kid, fucking, no, that was Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci in Home Alone.
The Evil
Oh, yeah.
Within is cool.
I get those-
always
that wouldn't have
recommend.
changed. That
It's
would've-
really hard to get a hold
Those,
of
I get those
those
two
games,
back.
but Silent Hill 2 is
There's been
amazing.
so many home movies.
He stopped being funny after the first.
Yeah.
Well, I think the third one. I don't remember who put the third one. So I think the first one and the third one. I think the third one.
The Evil Within is tight. It's an interesting game. I always like that island games. Those are good times. Resident Evil Revelations is a really cool one. It's way better than Resident Evil 6. Revelations 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was the second one. They came back. So the first and second
Resident
one.
Evil 6 had too many cutscenes. Had too many like cutscenes where you were like.
You had the.
Yeah, you had quick time events, but like they were quick time events that would cause automatic death.
There he is.
And you get automatic death.
Top.
And it's really annoying. And then
You can see because my mom has
Six is PlayStation 3. Yeah.
I remember one of them.
What? Everyone? Is everyone back?
Nah, not here.
Where? Oh, okay.
I guess I'll wait.
Resident Evil 6 just had. It was pretty. It just had lots
Why
of
did you
problems.
say that? Why did you have to mention that game?
Yeah, exactly. 6 had problems. Revelations is way better.
Yeah, hey, Revelations 2.
Revelations 1 and 2.
I didn't like 1 that much.
You didn't like 1 that much? 2 I like.
I didn't like 1 because they killed that one girl in the very beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did.
That made me angry.
That was.
I clearly took the game off and turned it. That's how I was.
They killed that chick in the media.
Revelations 2 was funny because of Barry.
Yeah, very was good. There was lots of good things.
You play the HD remakes?
Yeah,
You
the
play
HD.
Zero?
I have not played the HD remake of Zero.
Zero will make you throw your stick at the TV.
I was never a fan of Zero in
Was
the
it
first place.
Was it because of Rebecca?
Well, I didn't like the way the scheme worked.
Mm-hmm.
Like the game layout play wasn't really fun in Zero for me. Just because it didn't have enough options. I didn't like the equipment layout. I just didn't feel like they pen and papered it enough. Like that, that's my only beef with 5 is the equipment layout.
Yeah, because now that I think about it, 1 through 4 had really good item management, and then you get the 5, which only gives you 9 slots for weapons.
Yeah, you just don't have.
Which makes you play the game over and over because you get unlimited ammo.
5 is awesome. I love it when you're playing 2-player if your partner is good. Like my old roommate and I were horrifying at Resident Evil 5. We were just it was brutal. But then we'd play with our other roommate and it was just constant death. So you've got to have
There are some people who can't play Resident Evil.
There's some people that have issues with it, man.
That's another thing I didn't like about Resident Evil 6 is the split screen. If you ever try to play split screen on Resident Evil 6,
That's why you don't play split screen on any type of game.
Oh no, split screen is where it's at.
Split screen,
I can do vertical, but I can't do horizontal. It can't be a horizontal.
Horizontal screen doesn't. It depends upon the screen and how big your screen
If
is.
you're playing a racing game, it should be horizontal. It should be vertical. Because my friend had I forgot what the name of it was, but he had a game that the racing game, the default setting you couldn't change it was horizontal.
I like models where you can change it.
Yeah,
I think you should.
you just stuck with horizontal, it really sucked because when you tried to get a turn, you didn't know if it was a sharp one or if it was going to be like a S curve. I think everybody's back.
Nothing. We're waiting for you.
Oh.
To put you on the spot, I guess. All right. Let's get back to work. All right. So, if you are happy with your bone placement, it's time to skin. So, for this, we need to take the mesh layer out of reference mode. So, click this R over here to where it's blank. Select the pelvis joint, then select the mesh. Skin, smooth bind, option box, just to check. Chris, what were the options you had us use for that?
Uncheck, allow multiple bind poses,
Uncheck allow multiple bind poses,
and uncheck remove unused
and uncheck remove unused
influences.
influences.
And we got to the smooth bind options from where?
Skin.
Skin.
Yeah, skin.
I see this here.
Smooth bind option box.
Skin, click the box. Which one? Oh, smooth.
Do the uncheck.
Okay, uncheck allow multiple bind pose.
Uncheck that and uncheck.
Unused influences.
Alright. And click apply.
Yeah, click apply.
Uncheck what?
Allow multiple bind poses.
Okay. Everyone there? Uncheck.
I guess it apply.
Well, yeah. Click apply if you got all the options right. Okay. Now let's see how well the skinning went. Select maybe the collar or one of the joints and rotate it. It did a pretty good job. I'm not sure this metal disc is supposed to bend like that, but we can fix it. And I know those wings on his helmet don't do that. So now we go through and paint the weights. I'll start on the head because it's easy. Now, this is where you kind of take the material of the model into effect when you're painting the weights. So the paint weights tool is right here. And if you can't see that, and if you can't see the option box, it's right up here. All right, everyone there? Y'all good?
So,
Okay.
Where do we find paint skin weights again?
It is on the animation tab. Or it is in skin, paint skin weights tool option box.
he did something at the very beginning. He selected something.
How do you make the brush again? You hold B and do what?
You hold B and drag. Dragging right makes it bigger, dragging left makes it smaller. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to fix is this helmet because it keeps moving when it shouldn't. So, with the paint skin weights tool selected, find the head bone. Here it is. And as you can see, it takes most of the head except for these two wings out here. So, set the tool to a value of 1. And then start painting in this part of the head. Or, I mean, painting in his helmet as best you can. Chris, what was that trick you showed us last time for selecting vertices and doing all that?
Select the vertices on that head piece there. Just one vertice.
Okay.
Now hold shift and click the greater than sign a bunch of times. There you go. Now what you can do is double click your paint skin weights tool and select the head joint in your list. And scroll down to flood. Click that.
Okay.
Easy peasy, Japanese.
How do you do it again to select the brush?
Alright, so go to the mesh, vertex, select a vertex, hold shift, press C greater than sign.
Do you even select them to pick the vertex?
Right click on the mesh and then go to vertex. Right click and hold and go to the vertex. Now then shift greater than. And if we're lucky, these are all components, so it'll only select the part that is that component. Then double click the paint skin weights tool, select the bone that you're going to have influence it, set the value to 1 and press flood. Let's see. So I'll try and do that for the rest of the helmet. And we're lucky because that's all one object. So double click the paint tool again, set the value to 1, set the bone to head, and flood. I'll do it again just for clarity. Select a vertex, shift greater than sign, until you get as much of the area as you can. Double click the paint skin weights tool up here. Select the joint. Set it to 1 here and flood it. So if that was done right, his helmet should be moving 1-to-1 with the head bone. Now we've run into a little bit of a problem here because there's an interior to this helmet that I guess I didn't select. And also his hair is detaching from his head. So say you move this bone and then do a whole bunch of other stuff. Well, there's this thing for bones called the bind pose. And you can right click this, go to assume preferred angle. And I think I screwed it up. Okay. So as long as you're rotating it, you can, like, say you rotate this and you use a tool and you can undo it and you can't get this rotation back. The bind pose is set by right clicking the bone and assume preferred angle. This will set it back to the initial rotation that you used when you use the skin weights tool. That's just a helpful hint for rigging. And sometimes when I fix things, I will actually animate the bone to see where things are going wrong. Say I want to test the head, so I'll start bind pose, maybe 15 frames, turn left, and then at 30 turn it right. And I'm using S to set a key. Now the reason I'm doing this is so that I can test the weight limits and so that I can see if there are any problem parts of the mesh that are not skinned like they should, like this. You can actually use the weight tool or the skin weights tool while something is moving. So for example, this little leaflet of his helmet didn't get skin to the right bone, so I will fix that. And I'll do the same with this mess of vertices. Okay. So now the helmet looks good at least. Oh, I forgot a piece up here. Okay. Okay. Alright, so I'll let everyone get the helmet rigged.
What happens?
Thor set up. So I selected all of the receipts and then I use this option.
Right.
And then once you go down to the head,
Okay.
and then create the flow.
Yeah. And it's already
select everything. Select the head bone. Wait, hold right click on the mesh. Go to object. Alright, now go to the bone, rotate it a little bit. Okay, just rotate it a little bit. Turn his head.
You have it, guys. So someone else can take all your credit for your homework.
Control Z. Press S. And then drag this bar from there to some place. Now down one more. Click like on 20 or something. Now move the head point somewhere. Yeah, actually, rotate. You can go crazy. Not that crazy. Alright, about there. Press S. Alright, now press the rewind button on the bottom right. Okay, now if you click and drag, this is the animation. If you click and drag, it's going to interpret it between you. Now the thing to do is while that's moving, you can see parts that should be moving with the head that aren't. So you rotate around to it, and then you do that rotate. Alright. Everyone else over here? Good.
I didn't start
We'll just have to fix it. It says there's nothing wrong. But that's nothing we can't fix. Okay. Alright, go to 0 on the top. Press S. Now go to like 20. And then rotate the head. Press S again. And now that you've got that moving, you can, whenever you paint waves, things that aren't moving, with the head as it should be, will work. So go back to 0. Or, well, if you exit out this, all the play controls go in here. So rewind to the beginning. Okay. So zoom in on his head. Now right click on select the mesh. Right click, go to vertex. And select some part of his helmet. Shift, greater than sign, until you get the whole thing. Okay, that's it for that. Now go to the paint skin weights tool. Select that. Set the value to 1. And then select that. And as you can see, there's a part in there that doesn't move with it. So do that for the entire helmet. And that'll be caught up.
Okay, so I guess I'll go on that.
Now there's some hidden parts underneath between his forehead and the helmet. You see that? test, it is to rotate his head.
So you get a better suture. You get a better suture. To the target.
No. Oh, let's see. You go. Okay. Well, since you animated it, it's got data, like these red ticks or keys. So if you want to delete that, you just right click this. But since you're still rigging the head, I keep it.
So next would be the helmet. That's what I have to do.
Yeah, fix the helmet. That's the biggest thing. Because the helmet is made of metal, so you don't expect it to bend as easy. Or whatever Asgardian material they're using for that.
See, okay, this is not right. That's perfect. That's perfect. Let's fix this now.
You zoom harder.
Yeah, probably more went to the neck. Select your neck and see what that does. No, just select it. Just rotate the neck. I think you may have gotten excited about that. Wait, did his eyes sing? So what we're going to do next is fix it. All right, so everyone good on the helmet, at least? Well, I mean, you know how to get it done. All right. So using that same technique, I think I'll try it with the face. Depending on how this model was made, that may be easy, it may be hard. All right. So let's select a vertex on the face. And I'll see where this goes. I think this could work. Well, okay. Yeah, that could work. So what I did was I selected one vertex, like on his nose or somewhere, and used Shift and greater than to start selecting more and more vertices. Now, we have to be careful with this because I've selected some of the vertices that would be going to the neck. So I guess a simple way to fix this would be to Shift select those that would go to the neck. Oh, okay. Now, it's not going to let me do that because I forgot to do something important. Alright, let's see. Select the pelvis bone. Go over to the right and create a new layer with those objects in it. And we are going to name this the bones layer. Basically, you can turn on and turn off the bones now. It won't turn off their influence, it'll just turn off their visibility. So while we're doing this, I would set the bones to template while we're selecting the paint, or I mean selecting parts of the mesh.
You set them to template, right?
Yeah, I set them to template just temporarily.
Okay.
So go back and select parts of the face. And I'm still working with the head bone, so I'm going to select what parts of his face that are going to be influenced by the head bone. So as you can see from the front, his neck is also selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, okay, not that, Alt select what would be going to the neck. So once you have a pretty good idea or a selection,
You say you alt select?
Alt select deselects things that are already selected. So Shift select will add, Alt select will take away or delete.
I'm trying to alt select, but it's not able.
Oh, cool.
Let's see here.
Alt select, right?
Yeah.
And then over here, what button am I supposed to?
Go to the front view. Oh yeah, that only works in the front view or in the orthographic.
Orthographic.
What is it? Let's see.
So what?
Yeah, I'm holding alt, but it's not.
Oh, whoops, I'm wrong. It's Control.
Oh,
Control select. Okay. Alright, so if we have most of his face selected, set that to rotate with the head.
control select.
Now this may not rotate perfectly, and that's why we're using the paint skin weights tool.
Control select takes me a while. Alt select.
Now as you can see, his eyes are a different object, at least in this one.
Just like flat face, right?
So the same technique applies.
Still on head.
So this kind of illustrates why I had some of you animate it before you paint skin weights. As you can see here, his neck has too much influence from the head bone, and because it's animated, it actually pops out more than it should.
He's having a problem with it.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Go to the front view.
next to mine and
Yeah.
just started getting errors. So I just cut it down to where no layers made it as basic as possible.
All right, so
Let Josh teach me.
the reason I had some of you animate it is because it'll pop out the parts of the mesh that move when they shouldn't. Like, for example, his neck is popping out with his head because it's been painted to the head. So this is where the actual painting comes into play. For this, I'd probably go with 0.8 for value and select neck. And basically we're going to put back what shouldn't be popping out.
Hold up now.
Okay.
Hold and catch up real quick. So we're selecting neck.
Yeah, we're selecting neck.
Alright, I have neck selected and we are
I changed the value to 0.8. And then I am painting what pops out where it shouldn't be popping out. Like this right here.
yeah. I think so.
Now the reason you animate it is so that you can have it rotate while you're painting the weight. You select, okay. You select the bone, and at 0 press S to set a key. Then go forward in time, however many you want to go. Rotate it, press S again. Then move forward again in time, rotate it again, press S. And that is with the head bone selected. So now if you scrub through the timeline, you will have it rotate.
Okay, so I got it animated.
And then you just go back and paint the weights to fix it. And I think this is all we have time for. I chose 0.8. Okay. Alright, I guess that's all we have time for, so I'm going to stop teaching. Mm-hmm.
Casey. So hit Control 1 to stop that.
And go to the. So hit Control 1. I don't think it did it. Or 2. Sorry.